And I think once Joe goes into greater detail and about floods, we can talk about the fact that all around the world you can see the same rocks laid down in the same way, which is more that gives our evidence for a worldwide flood. But as you think about that fossil for the next 5 minutes, I want you to think about, what does it tell us about God, right? What does the flood actually tell us about what God's like and what he's prepared to do in 2 ways? And every time you pick up a fossil after I said these things, you might like to think about these things. So if you remember, when God was talking to Moses and Moses wanted to see his glory on the mountain, this is the NIV version because the ESV version wasn't exactly the words I was looking for. God said this, because Moses, if you remember, wanted, I know, making it fit. It's got to fit what I've got to talk about. And the Lord said, I will cause my goodness to pass in front of you, and I will proclaim my name, the Lord, in your presence. I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. And that's Exodus 33:19. The ESV doesn't use the word compassion, you see. I wanted to use the word compassion. And when that's what God says to Moses, I will do. And when God actually does pass past Moses, it says this in Exodus 34:6 and 7. And he passed in front of Moses, proclaiming, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands and forgiving wickedness, rebellion, sin, that he does not leave. But it doesn't stop there. So he says he's very gracious and forgiving, but then it goes on to say, but he does not leave the guilty unpunished. And it talks about then onto the children, their children, etc. So if you'd like to turn in Genesis chapter 6, where we have just a brief thinking about the flood and how this fossil shows us God being compassionate, right? But also prepared to judge. And then just relating that to our Christian lives, okay? What Christ has obviously done for us. Okay? So, verses, as we know, verses 1 through 8 obviously tell us about the situation on our world at the time. God regretted. Now, we can take that as it is, but obviously he saw that sin, I will blot out man whom I've created. But notice, Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. So one thing, God's going to judge man, but he's going to be compassionate and gracious to that one man and his family. So I'm reading from verse 9. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God, and Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. And God saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. And God said to Noah, I have determined to make an end of all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence through them. Behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and out with pitch. This is how you are to make it. The length of the ark, 300 cubits, its breadth 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. Make a roof for the ark and finish it to a cubit above, and set the door of the ark on its side. Make it with lower, second, and third decks. For behold, I will bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh in which is the breath of life under heaven. Everything that is on the earth shall die. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark with your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. And of every living thing of all flesh you shall bring 2 of every sort into the ark to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female, of the birds according to their kinds, and of the animals according to their kinds, of every creeping thing of the ground according to its kind. 2 of every sort shall come into you to keep them alive. Also take with you every sort of food that is eaten, and store it up. It shall serve as food for you and for them. Noah did this. He did all that God commanded him. Okay, and then beginning through chapter 7, we can see obviously he does that. He takes the extra animals because there has to be the sacrifice at the end. In 7 days, I'm going to bring rain down. And again, Noah did all that the Lord had commanded him. And then verse 6 of chapter 7. Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters came upon the earth. And Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him went into the ark to escape the waters of the flood. And just looking at verse 9 again. And Noah did all that God commanded Noah so. So we have two things. We have God being prepared to judge the world, but also show compassion. And we can see the person that he recognized as the righteous person, and we can assume his family too, was Noah and his family. But everybody else was destroyed. So the fossil shows us God is prepared to judge, but he's also prepared to be compassionate. And that's what we have as Christians, isn't it? We have a God who is being compassionate. If we think about what he said to Moses, I will be compassionate and gracious, but, and there is that but. I don't know how often people have read John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, whoever believes him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Do you stop there? Or do you actually continue with the other few verses which are after that? For God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. Whoever believes in him is not condemned, but whoever does not believe is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only Son of God. So for us as Christians, I hope I've just reminded ourselves a little bit of our salvation. God has been incredibly compassionate to us as sinners. We know, we sang in that second song about the man talking about Jesus taking our punishment for our sin. And that's what the fossil I've tried to show you this morning, just briefly, how God is compassionate to us. We could have been on that cross ourselves, couldn't we? Each of us deserve that. But we know that God is compassionate and he saved us because of Jesus. A couple more. Where is it now? Just to remember these two things about mercy. We talk about God being merciful and gracious. So remember, God is merciful to us, just to finish. In other words, he doesn't treat us as we deserve. That's the judgment, the punishment that really we should take. But he's gracious to us instead. And he gives us what we don't deserve, which is salvation in the Lord Jesus Christ. Thank you.